Hello, Internet. Happy Wednesday. Happy April 29th. Almost to the end of this month. We've almost made it to the end of April, to May. It already feels like that here in Vegas. So today we've hit our first, I don't know if it's hit it just yet, but today is supposed to be our first over 100 degrees Fahrenheit day. So, and supposedly it's a record. It's a record high for this particular day. Kind of strange because as far as I remembered, like it was just cold a few days ago. Like we've only had a few days of like not cold, not hot, and I always remember like that period of spring being a little bit longer in Vegas, but it's fine. You know, I like the heat here. It's nice. It's like, it's pretty obvious that it's hot in Vegas. There's no, tricks or games. Hi, Gabby. Good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I always tell people with Vegas heat that like you get what it says it's gonna give you. It's not like a mystery, and it's not unassuming. There's some places, especially like really muggy places, um, where like maybe the temperature is not so hot, but it feels freaking hot because it's so like muggy and humid. And you have, hey Jay Davis, gonna do my little Jay Davis dance. um, yeah, it's a hot day. It's a hot day here in Vegas. So yeah, the purple flowers are nice. I figured it'd be nice to match my flowery guy one since you guys don't get to view my guest today. Today I have a special guest, so in about 15 minutes or so, I am going to have Wendy Ware of Libre Tea join me, which should be really exciting because we're going to talk about her product. She makes really incredible double-walled tumblers here in North America. She distributes those, so I'm sure you've seen those before. She had donated several of these tumblers to the virtual tea festival. I wanted to make sure she had a chance to come on and, yeah, chat with us, talk about her product, of course, talk about Mother's Day. So maybe that's another reason why I chose the flowers today, because we're gearing up for Mother's Day. That's coming up. Um, I can't see you physically. Don't worry. If you're Jay Davis, if you're not, what's that word? If you're not ready to be on camera, don't worry. I just saw your name pop up. So with the Instagram Live, it does tell you, when a new person has joined the room. So just like I see Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. Welcome. Um, Hi, Cindy. Thank you for saying hello on Facebook. Presentable. That's the word. Yeah. So you are welcome to watch the Instagram Live in a very unpresentable manner. Indecent, even, if you want to put it that way. I'm the only one here that needs to be presentable, so don't worry. Of course, if you come to the Zoom room, which later on in this session I will open up the Zoom room so that we can all chat and catch up. In that case, you will want to be presentable because then, yeah, we'll be seeing you, presentable or not, if you want. So you've got to be ready. So yeah, Mother's Day is coming up. These beautiful pastel flowers are here to commemorate that. It's still not going to be for another week and a half. But when it comes to shipping products, you always have to think ahead. So that's why I'm going to have Wendy come on and talk about her products and how great of a Mother's Day gift it is. And then I'm also going to be chatting with her about some pretty serious stuff. So it's not all going to be marketing today. A little bit of marketing. We're getting to that point of the stay-at-home order where we gotta get a little bit more creative with the marketing. But we are going to talk about a very serious matter regarding plastic, because her product has plastic in it, and it's really important that it has plastic in it. And talking about the sustainability around plastics. Yeah. So first, before we bring her on and start talking about those things, I wanted to give industry updates. So first of all, before I do this, I want to give a very special shout out to Dan Bolton. He is our, he's our savior at this time with the industry updates. He has been continuing to research the industry, keeping us in loop of what's going on. He has his own personal blog, so he kind of updated me about World Tea News, which is usually like our go-to source for tea industry updates. World Tea News has what's the word? They have rerouted, some of their priorities to other things, and I don't know what that is, but all I know is that the priorities are less on the news updates. So we will not be seeing as many updates from them, and that was, Dan was the editor there and was always, keeping things updated there. So that's what Dan informed me, and that's why we haven't been seeing the updates from World Tea News. But he has his own private site, and I do encourage you all to find it, and that is t-biz.net. Let me just confirm that real quick. He's not posting there like every day. No, it's t-biz.com. And that's it's like a blog of sorts, but he is keeping updated very serious information. Yesterday or a few days ago, he did post a very good update regarding some market data around where the industry or where the market is, the U.S. market. So that's like online market, the tea shop market. There's a lot of really good stats in there about how much business is anticipated to continue, when this stay-at-home order is ended. And so, yeah, I do recommend Dan's blog, t-biz.com, for updates. The update that I want to talk about today comes from Dan Bolton, but it was published in Stir magazine. So that's a coffee and tea trade journal, a global business insight on coffee and tea. Also a very good source for industry updates. I don't know frequency of updates there. I always thought it was kind of like a monthly thing, but perhaps now there's going to be a lot more updates. But Dan did post a very good article on the 23rd, so that was 6 days ago, about the tea prices of Indian tea. And I think that the story in Indian tea is kind of similar in other commodity regions like Kenyan tea. And as far as what I know from anecdotal evidence of some of the producers that we work with in China, that there has been some effect on the market and the price of tea in China. But this, I want to cite Dan's article here in Stir Magazine because he does have exact numbers and data there for us to reference. And again, that's Stir Magazine. The website is stir-tea-coffee.com. And there the article is called India Tea Prices Plunge as Demand Dissipates. So yeah, this is just a common supply and demand issue. By the way, today I am drinking Nilamalai Winter Black Tea. So enjoying a beautiful black tea here. Yeah, today I'm not really talking about tea tasting right now. I'm just gonna sit in and drink. It does look good. Yeah, it's very good. You can find this tea on our new website, teaanditspeople.com. Just search for the Nilamalai Winter Black. This is from South India, Nilgiri, India. Really beautiful, handmade, soft and gentle, sweet, nutty, yummy black tea from Nilgiri. So yeah, it looks like the major effect on tea prices is on the CTC grade of tea, which we don't do a lot of dealing with, but that is the majority of the tea that's produced in India, and a lot of that is for the domestic market in India, either domestic market or like the Russian market or the Middle Eastern market do enjoy those grades of tea. And so, the effect of this pandemic across the globe is already seeing its effect at source. Let me just zoom in here so I can see some of these exact numbers here so I can give you a really good reference of what's going on. So yeah, and a lot of these statements in this article are all based on forecasts of where the market is going. So like we know where the market is now. There's already been a reduction in price. So 4%? Oh no, so there's been an increase of there's been actually an increase of production, so that's also going to be affecting the price. And, that could have been something that would be an issue even without this pandemic going on. It's just an overproduction of tea. And that's something that we often talk with our producers, or not our producers, but the producers that we work with within our network. We don't own anybody. But when we have conversations with the producers in our network, we often tell them about the risk of overproducing tea. Even if the market says, you get a big buyer that comes one year and says that they want, a certain tonnage of tea, it is important to think about the sustainability of that demand and where is that market going to be 2 years from now, where is that market going to be 5 years from now, and if you've already committed to producing this type of tea, this grade of tea, and this quantity of tea, more than likely you're gonna have that demand later on. So Chinese demand of tea has completely gone flat. And so there was an increase. So specifically around like milk tea, so like the whole bubble tea movement and the milk tea movement in China had increased the demand for the grades of CTC reserved for milk tea, has increased it by 30% from last year. So everybody increased their production to meet that increased demand. But then all of a sudden now it's completely flat. Like China is not buying tea at all, according to this article. So that's going to cause a glut. And a glut is a overproduction that doesn't meet either the market demand or the consumer demand. So you could have a glut in your own backyard. Let's say you decide that you're only going to, plant a certain plant, for instance, tomatoes. And then the tomato harvest comes and you realize, oh shoot, I probably should have planted some other stuff because now I'm sitting on, 300 pounds of tomato, which doesn't sound that bad. I think you could deal with that glut. But, just it's an overproduction of, whatever your consumption demand is. And that's the tricky thing about agriculture is that you have to make predictions months, sometimes years ahead of time of where you think your consumption demand is going to be or where your market demand is going to be. And if something like a pandemic like this happens, then you're kind of out of luck, and you really have to be resilient. You have to fall back on your resilience to survive it. So in Calcutta, which is like one of the main tea trading hubs for specifically Darjeeling tea, but as well as teas from all over India, Calcutta is a major trade hub in India. They did see a direct price decline of 40%. So just for some reference, the price was at 200 rupees, which is equivalent to about 270 US, and it's gone down to 120 rupees. And volume is down, market volume down 65% in the Kochi tea auction. So that's like southern India tea trading hub. So just across the board, just numbers are down, and there's not a whole lot of hope on the horizon, right? I mean, we're obviously still in these stay-at-home orders, and even whenever those orders are lifted, there's still going to be a lot of time for that market to readjust. So, everybody's talking about how, the businesses in our own communities here in North America are being affected and our employees are being affected. We really can't stop thinking about the farms and the origins of our products, because the effect that they're going to see is going to be far longer than what we're seeing of this direct effect here in the States. So that was the industry update for today. Hi, Wendy.
Hello, Elise. How are you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
How's
just the techno queen? I so admire all that you're doing.
Oh, wow. Cool. So, hey, how's everything in your home?
Well, I tell you, we're doing very well here. I'm in Ontario right now, Canada.
Okay. Great.
And I had actually been coming up here for the Toronto Yoga Show, because a lot of yoga type people really like our classes.
Great.
And then got canceled, of course. And so I'm here for the duration, because I was getting my passport renewed, but that office has actually closed for a while. So
so you're kind of stuck.
What?
Are you kind of stuck? Is that what you're trying to say?
Pretty much.
Okay. Sorry to make light of it, but
it's not bad. No, I don't feel stuck. Like you can call it stuck, but I happen to be staying with a really good girlfriend, and we have turned the dining room table into a ping pong table.
Oh, fun!
So that is great for getting a little fun happening.
Yeah, ping pong's always fun. That was always an easy hack when I was in the Peace Corps, when I lived in Africa. When the American Peace Corps friends would get together, yeah, you just make a ping pong table. It's pretty easy. And it's hours and hours of fun.
Yes. And it's lots of laughter.
Yeah.
And really great focus. And, just a little bit of physical activity. You keep at it long enough.
Yeah. I get really into it. I used to be a tennis player when I was young. So a lot of that kind of like competitive nature that I had from whenever I was young is still there and finds itself at the tennis table.
Yeah, my girlfriend is quite the racket sports girl from way back, and it's quite funny because she swore up and down she wasn't really very competitive when we got started, and then finally she decided, okay, well, maybe she is.
Well, it's no fun to not be competitive. It wouldn't be fun for you if she wasn't,
Yeah, no, it's all good. But the funny thing is that we have yet to play a game. We just rally, and we just sort of try to keep our rallies going as long as we can.
That's good. Yeah, that's safe. That's what I do too. It's the safe bet. You can be competitive, but then also be friendly at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I'm hoping and crossing all fingers that the internet connection is going to hold nicely in the midst of all this. So I'll just say that up front.
That's fine. If your connection goes out, mine's super strong. I had to make sure if you're streaming, you have to make sure you're covered on all of the bases. So mine's really strong, so we don't have to worry about that. And if yours goes out, I'll do a little dance while we wait for you to come back. So
excellent, thank you. Okay. You probably had to do a few tap dances technologically over the last little bit. Yeah,
I've gotten used to it. Yeah, it's all part of the process, and like my whole goal of why I started doing this, Wendy, is of course, to like keep myself occupied and, myself on a schedule, putting yourself on a schedule, having a commitment to do every day. When the business kind of goes to a pause, you've got to find other things to put yourself on a schedule. For me, it's actually usually a travel schedule that keeps me focused and kind of looking towards something. But right now I don't have that. So I started this, but then the benefits have been, immeasurable now, especially whenever I share this resource and skill with others. So as I work with folks and they start coming on to these shows or the virtual tea festival, which we did, people really got immersed in how this kind of technology and interaction works. And my hope is that everybody would take those skills and resources with them into their own online community building efforts, not just for myself and my own community, but for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
I'm excited to figure out how it is that you're casting Zoom. I'm gathering we're on Facebook. Is that true?
We are. Yeah, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and Instagram. We're everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't worry about censoring yourself. We're not that kind of tea company. We like to be raw and real and honest. So you're welcome to speak how you like. And I hope that we get to some subjects and get to talk about some things that are intriguing, because that's what I try to do. I'm always trying to start conversations and get people really thinking and asking questions. So first, before we start, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do?
Okay. I'm just getting the little screens on the screen, set up. So my name is Wendy Weir, and I am the founder of the Libre glass infuser. And I have been enjoying this journey for 12 years. Since 2008 is when I started.
Congratulations.
And I was on a trip to China, and for some reason I needed to go to China, and I had been a marketing consultant and in business, and so I saw so many people drinking out of these tea containers all the time, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. And of course at that point loose tea was a pretty nouveau kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I thought, oh geez, this loose tea and herbal solutions and concoctions for lots of things, I think it's going to come over to North America, and maybe we might like to have something like this. And then one of the unique things about the glass is that it's actually got glass inside but plastic outside. Mm-hmm. And glass is like the safest surface you'll drink from. So that's what I really enjoyed about seeing this as a combination together. So anyway, once I saw that, I decided, actually it took about 8 months. I say that it sat in the corner of my office for like 8 months talking to me, going, are you gonna do this? So I am lucky enough that I had a bit of business background before. And I'm originally from Canada, but I've lived in the Vancouver area for decades. The journey has been very interesting. I mean, there's 1,000 good stories. I was just thinking the other day, if I ever gave up something like this, because there's some moments where you kind of scratch the head and go, what are we doing? Yeah. And but all the wonderful adventures. And then I was thinking of you and thinking, like, you're quite the adventure girl yourself. I think there's some kind of tribe we might be a part of together, because adventure really gets me going. I kind of live for adventure. So I've had lots of adventure with the cup. I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people. I have been so blessed to be part of the tea industry. And that has just been a real gift. And the other gift that there has been is that a lot of people that are very health conscious quite like the glasses. So, mm-hmm. Retail wise, we end up at yoga shows. And, to stand in your trade show booth in your bare feet and do a little yoga pose and then walk over and chat with somebody and, they want to buy a glass and taste some tea. It's kind of, it doesn't really get too much better.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many trade shows a year do you do? I mean, outside of this whole COVID-19, how many trade shows do you typically do a year?
We used to do a lot more in the earlier years in the retail end of things, and had maybe a little bit more marketing capital and a little bit more oomph to be moving around all the time. And at that point, we probably did, 10 to 12. Now we do like 3 to 4. And one of the shows, I believe it's evaporated. It was called The Green Show, and it started out of San Francisco, and we did that like for 4 or 5 years in a row. And people there were very interested, in the reusable nature of the glass, and it seemed to be, a good area for tea people as well. So that all went together, the whole green thing. But mostly we do a couple of yoga retail shows, and then we do a couple of trade shows. And the most interesting trade show I've ever done was in Denver, Colorado. And it was for the trade, a wholesale show. And it was called the International New Age Trade Show, INATS. And so all these little bookstores, and gift stores that have interesting different kinds of things, they really were a most fascinating group. And I'm actually kind of a little bit out there myself, so I had more fun than a barrel of monkeys. And so many people were just like such interesting people.
I'm sure there was a lot of interesting products there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. A lot of books and a lot of writers and a lot of speakers. Yeah. But anyway, I chose to have oolong today from Two Hills Tea. I don't know that I've we'll have to trade product, Elise. That's what I decided as I was getting my tea out. I was like, oh, this is really awful. I don't have any tea to be putting in my glass.
Okay, yeah, I gotta send you some tea. You did give me, okay, so I'm gonna say this story, and this is a little bit of a disclaimer for your product as well, for folks that enjoy your product or want to enjoy your product. You had gifted me one, a beautiful green one that I had used, and I was using it regularly. It was amazing. But a friend of mine actually put it into the freezer and forgot that he put it into the freezer, and it broke. The glass had shattered inside of the of the cup. So unfortunately, I'm not able to use your product to brew my tea today, or else I would have. I would have loved to, shown how your bottle can be even used in Gung Fu service, not just in the casual,
yeah. I hadn't thought of that. But most definitely. And can I just ask, was there liquid in it when it was in the freezer?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, so it was probably the liquid expanded, when it became ice and just cracked all the glass. Now, if it wasn't having liquid in it, would the glass have been fine?
No, definitely. Yes. And in fact, even we have found that it depends on how much liquid. If it's relatively full, then it's got no room to expand. If it's not so full, then it will expand. And it's not so much in the freezer as it is people will leave them out overnight in their car and forget in a Canadian, it can make it through. I've heard stories where it does. And if it is too full, it will, the expansion and the things. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so yeah, so just a disclaimer for folks that have a Libre is to don't let it be exposed to too cold. If it's full, right? You said if it's full, then it'll expand and break, right?
Yeah, full.
Got it. So
I've got a little bit of a delay on this end. I don't know if you do on your end.
Yeah. No, you're a little cracky. Are you calling in from like a phone, or are you on a Wi-Fi?
I'm on Wi-Fi. I don't have a hard connection cord.
Yeah. So that's the first trick is if you're gonna start doing regularly live streams or even like these kind of Zoom calls, it's best to have a hard line. So I had learned that very early on. So when I first started doing this, I used to stream from my tea room, which is my space is pretty big. I have an 1,800 square foot space here. And in the center space is my tea room, which is, like very romantic and zen. I would love to be streaming from there, but my hard line and everything is here in the office. So ended up kind of moving things here, which is good because then you get the light. So you've definitely figured out the light. You look great. Your lighting looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been doing every day, we love to talk about tea moments. One of the first things in China from a long time ago was I was on a bus and I was up the front and I was very anxious about where I was going, didn't have much language. It was in Shanghai. And I was watching the bus driver being kind of like right up next to him. And we come to this intersection and, it's mayhem and chaos on the roads in China in big cities.
Yeah.
And he just stops and he, picks up his big jar. It was like a big pickle jar. Nice little sip. And like the whole world went away on him. And he, put the thing back down, puts it in gear, and okay, we're off again. And so, that was the first tea moment that I saw. And I thought, if you could have a place of peace in the middle of downtown Shanghai at an intersection, you got to be able to have a place of peace anywhere. So we were for the longest time all about tea moments, and we still are. And the only thing is we're more into kind of, you can do many more things with the glasses than tea. So we're trying to also move along with that. Mm-hmm. But in April, at the very beginning, every day, Monday through Friday, I've been doing 10 minutes of calm. I have a yoga background and I like to meditate and those kinds of things and do some breath work. And so I've been doing that on Facebook all the time. But that idea of a hardwire, I'm sure, would make the quality of story wraps all the way around.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it would definitely help. But I mean, I guess if you're doing 10 minutes of calm, a delay might not even be noticed, if you're doing some breath work or something.
Sounds right.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm happy. How are you feeling doing that? How has that been for you personally? Not business or anything like that. How has that experience been for you, being vulnerable every day and having that commitment every day?
I have enjoyed it immensely. I find it a very creative opportunity. I know a lot of different breathing techniques, and we've now done 20 days, 24 days. So I felt like I've needed to come up with something a little bit different every day. The idea of being on camera, I used to do Tea Moment Mondays for about 3 years in a row, and I did the same kind of, Zen-ish kind of thing, although it was a little more chatty. And so only having it for 10 minutes is quite a blessing. And I think that it's when you talked about structure, I really like it for structure. A girl's got to brush her hair and maybe put on a bit of makeup. My mother always said a girl never goes anywhere without her lipstick. So all of those things come into play. And so, I need to be kind of camera ready for noon hour. And it's great because I get something done in the morning and then I kind of get myself settled into this 10 minutes. Then I have some lunch. I've had a nice big break and then I can go back to work.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear you doing that. And I have been seeing, I've tuned in a couple of times. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, for offering that for us.
Yeah, I think the consistency thing is just huge.
It is. It really is.
The social media thing work. And at the beginning, there was very little traction, so it was a little disappointing. But a girl keeps on going, and I enjoyed the meditation in 10 minutes of calm. It always helped me feel better, so hey, why not? Let's keep going.
Good.
And I think I have to rethink it because I committed for the month of April, and I'm not sure that I can do that every day continuing on. And I think I'm going to morph it into something that might be once or twice a week. to be able to do that. But then, of course, you've got all this content too. And so now I'm going to have to go back and see what I can do in terms of, I'm sure that I can take a few of those videos and turn it into a nice little booklet that people might want to sign up to an email newsletter or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a win-win. That was something that I didn't think about much when I first started doing these live videos. And then when I launched this website and my brother said, oh, you should just, embed all the videos as blogs. And when I did that, I learned that both Facebook and YouTube have like an automatic generated subtitle system that you can download. So it does all of the voice to text for you. So I'm like, oh, this is incredible. Like here, like
no way,
hundreds of thousands of words of text just ready to go like that. So
Elise.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope you will share that. You'll be able to sell, Elise's top 10 tips for $9.99. We buy it,
Yeah. Right. Well, before I structure something into like an actual class or something like that, it's definitely out for free. Like that's the whole intention of doing this is for all of us to learn together. The subtitling is not 100%. Like if you were to paste it over directly, it's not totally ready to go. Yeah. But you just have to go through there and edit. There's certain T vocabulary that these AIs don't know just yet. Like I love how anytime I say the word chi, like chi or energy, it always changes it to cheese. So yeah, so
kind of puts a whole new spin on things.
Yeah, we're sitting here enjoying the tea cheese. Getting high on the cheese.
Yeah. And congratulations on your site and getting that all together so quickly. That must have been a project and a half. So you've been working hard.
Yeah, it is a project, but it's not as well, and so that's something else I'm trying to reiterate to everybody is that, with good quality content and resources. So I just use Shopify. The TLET website that we have, the one that I've been working on and focused on, you see me at trade shows or at tea festivals, that's what I've been promoting. That is like an industry platform. That's like a supply chain industry platform that, is not really for consumers. And so since I've started doing these live videos and the virtual tea festival and all these types of things that have kind of exposed us to this greater network of tea lovers, I realized, it's time that I create a website for them, and it didn't need to be customized. There's so many great platforms, at a small fee, you can get everything up and running, and with good, rich content, the pictures and the stories, you can get something up quickly. So I got that website up in a few days, to be honest. I mean, I think my work ethic and my style of work is maybe a little bit faster than most people, but I could say even with a week or 2 weeks time, with some focus and some patience of being able to work through the tutorial pages and the tutorial videos that are provided by Shopify, anybody can get a website up. And so I just really want to kind of use that website as some encouragement for others to put some effort into it, and then also not to think that they have to hire a professional firm to do it for them, because I don't know your experience with this, but I know so many horror stories of our clients that things are on hold, or they've already invested $7,000 into this other project, so God forbid they try to start doing something new, and that professional development firm, they got into some type of disagreement, or someone didn't live up to their agreements and the contracts, and all of a sudden your website is held hostage, or you can't change something on it. You've got to pay them another $2,000 to change something. That is like absolutely unnecessary these days. People should be able to and can do their own kind of editing and their own kind of developments, with their website. There's so many great tools for it.
Yeah, it's really quite amazing how it's become that it's not really so difficult at all. And I think it takes some focus. And at least maybe that's just my personal opinion, because I can be either super focused or I can be super scattered and get nothing done. Yeah. And so the idea of really getting focused to get something done, and things like Shopify, and another shout out, I tell you, I've just gotten into Canva lately.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Canva.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that is a dream. That is just because I've been working with a designer, and so she's just moved all these elements into that Canva thing for me. And I'm just about to kind of help us do a little bit of a new look for things. Mm-hmm. And it's a hoot and a half. I mean, I enjoy that kind of stuff, it's very creative.
Yeah.
It's quite fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was another thing too. Like, if you're trying to be like adaptive and creating new content, Canva, Jay, the website is Canva, Canva. Someone on Instagram was asking about it. I'll send you a link of that website. So if you're trying to create like daily content or just like let people know about events you have coming on, if you're working with a designer, which, I work with designers and, I think it's important to support them, but, sometimes they don't have the bandwidth or the time to work with you to constantly be creating these elements for you. So, if you can bring some of that work in-house, Canva makes it super easy. So, I'm also a big fan of Canva.
And I think the other thing in Canva with the kind of duplicate action, you can have a really nice consistent look. And my background's in brand and marketing. And so the idea of having a consistent look that people kind of recognize, whether it be by colors or a specific way you lay things out, or, your logo, your icons that you use. It's so easy to keep that consistent when you're working with something like Canva.
Oh, Jay, my website is tanditspeople.com. Tanditspeople.com. Funny
cool.
name.
I have to look that one up.
Yeah, that's the website that I launched. That's
Oh, right. Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah, that's mine. T and its people. So it's a funny name, and I kind of like purposefully made it kind of kind of provocative and interesting. Because like once you fall into the lifestyle of tea, you become a part of it, and it's almost as if the tea owns us. And I hate to say the word control, because tea is definitely not controlling. It's empowering and uplifting, but we are definitely of the tea. And that was originally a book idea I had a little over a year ago. Last time I did my sourcing trip in the spring, where just like kind of these like constantly repeating themes of the confusion about, kind of the lineage of where tea came from, or the importance of a particular tea region or a particular style of tea is for a community, and how that style of tea like made the community what it is today. Like really influenced me to think how powerful tea is, and how a lot of those stories haven't been documented. So like that was kind of my intention set, but then, once, I kind of fell into this calling of hosting the tea community, I decided to share that name and that, kind of idea with this. And totally, I've been using Canva. I've worked with a really incredible designer that did give us like a whole package of design elements. And, he's happy to see us, evolving those elements into all of these new messaging platforms. So, no offense to your designer if you decide to take some of these objectives in-house. I think designers are actually happy with it, because I don't think a designer is so happy to get like a gig, for just making a simple thing. They want to do like overarching creative ideas, branding ideas versus, designing a flyer or designing a banner or designing, these simple things, which, 5 years ago, if you didn't know how to use Photoshop or, any Adobe products, you were kind of at the mercy of your designer to do all those projects for you. So, yeah.
And I often find that I kind of think that I had some brilliant ideas, but they, would apply to going out tomorrow. And so the idea that you can't always, get a designer, even if you wanted to turn something around like that. Mm-hmm. I think that's the cool thing about being able to do it yourself in Canva or something, is that you can turn it around so quickly, and you can be very timely with what might be going on in the market, in responding.
Well, and that's the key to social media marketing. That's the key to this type of marketing that we're doing right now. Is it's really fast, and it's it kind of sucks, but that it's so rotating. It's something that you create today and put out, kind of becomes junk the next day. Which has its negatives. Because, back in the day, it's if you created something, it was special and that was permanently a part of your brand and a part of your story. But now, marketing is so transient. It's you've got to constantly be creating the new thing to remain relevant to, like you said. So, it's just a whole new era of marketing and storytelling that I don't think we should be afraid of, but we definitely need to embrace it if we're going to stay up on it.
Yeah. And I kind of like it. I'm not a big planner. Of course, one has to be somewhat relative to, running your business. But I find it really, I guess rewarding because of the creative aspect. You can come up with a good idea and you can do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. So, Wendy, I just quickly wanted to give a shout out to both Eric, who says that he's drinking from his Libre right now, Eric Glass.
Wow.
So, I don't know if you know Eric Glass. He's our tea friend in St. Louis. So I don't know if he's watching still, but I just wanted to acknowledge that. And then also our friend Cindy on Facebook says that she has a plastic Libre, but she didn't realize that you had glass ones. I didn't realize that you had plastic ones.
So you're both right, as they would say. And that is because the inside is glass, but the outside is plastic.
Yeah.
And so you get all the benefits of drinking from glass, but it's protected when you're on the go because it's this really strong exterior plastic.
So this brings up the topic that I wanted to talk about, and this was the main thing that I wanted to talk about while you're here. Also kind of relating to marketing. A few months ago, when I was involved with a sustainability festival in San Francisco called Planet Home,
right.
I had reached out to you about a sponsorship opportunity. The festival had all these different art installations. Each one of them had a call to action or some type of words of motivation about how to implement some change into just the normal consumer's life, normal people's life, about creating environmental change, positive progress and whatnot. And so the tea room that we were executing and building for this festival had the motto of consume less, value more. And that great joys and happiness can come from consuming higher quality products in smaller quantities. And that's exactly, what the whole concept and principle behind even Gung Fu tea services. And they were looking for financial sponsors. And so that was kind of a conflict in itself, is that, I was telling them, companies that are really doing the good, sustainable work don't often have big marketing budgets to support these types of things. I mean, we could definitely go and get Pepsi, to get one of their tea brands to sponsor this, or maybe even Lipton, but that definitely wouldn't be in alignment, with the overarching theme of this festival. But I did reach out to you, and you were interested, and the festival denied you. because of the plastic. Like they had this like
yes, right,
it's silly, it's ridiculous. And it brought a big argument, and actually it ended up being a very consistent conversation that we had with the people that came into our tea room. You know, not specifically around your product, although I still talked about your product and encouraged people to find you online. But, you know, like, I became very angry about that, because this organization had these, like, rules of, like, yes or no, like, very black or white, and it was, like, plastic bad. We can't, no, it's a no, anything that has plastic, because, like, they asked me, what are the materials of this product that you so kindly wanted to donate and be a part of our efforts. And when I told them that there's plastic in it, but there's a purpose to the plastic being into it, they just had a silly rule on it. And so this brings up the conversation around, you know, like single-use plastic. So like there is the demonizing word that we should be looking at, you know, not demonizing the word plastic, because there is a purpose. So yeah, like, I don't know if you want to talk on that at all about, you know, maybe conversations that you've had with other folks around this.
Yeah, I mean, I run into that as well too. And I guess what I always come back to is right material, right purpose. You know, the glass is on the inside because it is the safest surface you can drink from a healthy point of view, and also because it's non-porous, that means no flavor is retained. So you could have lemon water, or you could throw a cup of coffee or red wine in it. It makes a great martini shaker, or come back to just plain good old herbal tea. So you can use it for so many things because of the clean, you know, wash, easy, all of that, and yet now you have the plastic outside, so you can take it on the go. I mean, there's, I was going to say, none of us stay at home very much. However, that is completely different right now. And I personally happen to be a pretty much on-the-go kind of person. So this idea of right material for right purpose, I think is really important. And I think it's important for us to be discerning in the conversations. And I think invariably when we get into a black, white, right, wrong, I almost feel like I'm guaranteed that I am not looking at the situation from a perspective that is holistic enough. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, you know, anyway, that's where I go. And the other thing that I must say too, and I guess this gets into a bit more of a debatable area, but is, you know, my product is made in China. I go to that factory every year to year and a half. We had a social audit back in, like an employee and social audit, I think it was 2013. And came through just fine. There is some definite, you know, issues around what our standards of employment in North America are, salary versus piecework. And that's where it really comes down to in terms of looking at that. But I get a little bit excited when people, you know, because it's from China, no, not doing it. It's almost like, you know, Chinese people are not people. You know, like we're all people. We all need to feed our families. We couldn't make the glass over here and have it cost much less than $60 or $70, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you know, there are different kind of stuck positions, if you want to call it, that I think we might want to reevaluate. And one of the most exciting things about this coronavirus, I believe, is that we really are, you know, we're in this together, yes. But all the different countries in the world are kind of doing it a bit differently, and everybody's watching each other, and people are helping each other, sending resources. But all of a sudden, it's one of the first things that I've seen to say, look, they're people, and you know, we need to come together as people and fellow humans. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really important to me. And that's, you know, that's why I love the work that you do too, in terms of, you know, going direct to the farmers and not having them to go through so many levels that they make much less money than, you know, they deserve.
Yeah. No, I think that you have the right intention, and that's going to take you on a journey, you know, because I think when the market does become a lot more engaged, like the consumer becomes engaged with this information about, you know, like they are going to be interested in knowing about these social audits that you do, and that may take you on to a journey to ask even deeper questions, because you know, if you have that intention, you're not going to be afraid to do that. And I think that's the core issue with a lot of the controversial things that like I bring up in my business, that brings fear to, you know, the status quo tea industry. And it is like they could be asking those questions too. They could be asking about the minimum wage of workers. They could be asking about the price of green tea at the Botley factory. But they choose not to ask those questions because their intention is not set on that. Their intention is set on just protecting themselves. So, you know, I think that you could perhaps take us on a really cool journey of learning about the production of glass and learning about the production of plastics. And yeah, I mean, back to what we were talking about before, I did want to ask you, like, what if both walls were made of glass? Like, why wouldn't that be beneficial, and would that be more sustainable if your product was to be completely made of glass?
So I hear what you're saying, and I guess what I see is that, you know, they just break more easily.
So then you have to produce
And
more and buy more, right?
exactly.
Okay, so there's
I've had
number
so
one.
many people say to me, oh, they've had those double wall glass ones, but, you know, it slipped out of their hand, or even the ones that are wrapped in the silicone sleeves. People tell me about breaking them. And ours doesn't break particularly, you know, well at all. We've got some great stories about that. But, you know, one of the other, yeah, the double wall glass. I don't know if you know, but I want to say 4 years ago, there was a huge recall on double wall glass tea tumblers. And I'm going to even say maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. I don't know about this, but yeah. So
there were 500,000 of them recalled.
Wow.
And because of the manufacturing process, it was difficult to monitor the pressure that ended up between the two layers of glass. So some of them were actually spontaneously bursting, i.e. they would be sitting in your cupboard and they would burst. And it could be about humidity, temperature, whatever.
Wow.
But I just want to say that I understand that that process has gotten much better and more refined. But that's something that I do know about the early days. And that's not something that we have had to contend with, because ours are actually assembled. They take a glass inner tube, you know. Okay, so I've been in this business since 2008. I did my first trip over there in 2011. I've done like 7 trips, I think, in total. But the way they used to make them versus the way they make them now is just fascinating.
Yeah.
It used to be a guy that was hand blowing the glass, because it's got to fit inside the plastic sleeve. It comes in at the top and comes up. So we call that the necking of the glass. And he was actually doing that by hand. And then at the bottom, you know, making the bottom of it flat by hand. Anyway, and then it goes on to the assembly area. The plastics are molded, and then the women that are the assembly. And it's the assembly where you want the good detail work for people to be paying attention, making sure there's not ones shipped with no screens or something like that, right? Yeah. And so over time, they have actually computerized. And as of 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago when I was there, they had computerized machines that were doing the necking. 3.5 years ago, they did computerized machines for cutting the actual length of the inner glass, but now the necking is done like this. And so that is it's been so fascinating to watch, you know, how they have increased their production facilities. We've had an engineer over from Vancouver to the factory a couple times back in the early days because we were having some issues. And he said, you fix a couple, like he pinpointed a couple of issues. And he said, you get those fixed and you're going to be good. And so we worked with the factory and we pushed pretty hard to try and get that done. But I just have to tell you one more funny factory story.
Please. This is
highlight.
This is interesting.
It was 2 years ago in the summertime. I've been dealing with the same sales rep. And he and I did the whole thing by email for the first 3 years. And then I realized I wanted to go there, so I needed to have somebody else. Managed to get a woman from Taiwan. She accompanies me. So we go over there, and it was 2 summers ago, and something was going on. It was right in the middle of summer. It was like 40 degrees. It was the first time they'd ever declared it was actually 40 degrees in China Celsius.
Wow.
And that was because at 40 degrees, they aren't obligated to go to work. So, China's an interesting place. And so a lot of times they wouldn't agree that it was actually 40 degrees out. Well, we were well over 40 degrees. And so we went to the factory and we bared it out. And what they did for the people is the women who were doing the assembly work, they changed the shifts around. So they went from 5 in the morning till 11 in the morning, and that was the work day. And so that was the coolest time of day. So that's what they were able to do. And at that point, I don't know, the senior VP, and, they like to take you out for at least one nice dinner and, thank you for your business. You're a customer. Anyway, there was nobody around to go out. And even my sales rep, he actually had some serious health gut issues. And he couldn't come out for dinner. There was not a lot on the menu he could do. Okay. And so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to go out with the women on the assembly line. So there was 10 of us around this table. There was the supervisor, the quality, but these women that I had been walking by when we would go there every time, and you kind of wave and you kind of smile. Of course, you'd never get to talk. There's not enough language even. But all these women that I've just recognized and seen several times over, we all got to go out and have a, great night of having dinner, first of all. And then the supervisor said, oh, no, I'm not drinking. And then the woman I'm with went, oh, no, I'm not drinking. And then I said to them, okay, ladies, do you want to drink? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, let's go. And it was the most fun. And, there's just a lot of smiles and good-naturedness that goes a long way for a connection. So you're constantly standing up, and my person would give me a few Chinese weird words to be able to say to do the cheers. Yeah. But it was one of my best trips, and I've just been very, very grateful that I have been able to connect on that kind of a level with the people at the factory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So did you pour a shot of baijiu for every single one of them and shoot with them? Because that's what you're supposed to do whenever you make an offer to drink with them like that. That's good fun.
Needless to say, it was a damn fun night.
Did you end up at the karaoke bar at the KTV after that?
No, unfortunately, it is such a small town where the factory is that there is, I'm sure there's some nightlife somewhere going on, but nothing that was too handy. And to tell you the truth, I'm a good drinker up to a point, and then I have to go to bed.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. One final thing I wanted to say about the plastic, and I'm sure you know about this, but I just want to add this in because it's something that people often overlook around this conversation about like the yes or no, black or white rules around switching away from plastic to glass is that it's like such an increase in the weight. And when you're talking about logistics and shipping, like that actually causes more harm to the environment than having plastics. So, I just wanted to throw that in. I'm sure that's something that you deal with shipping, and your products. It's such a nightmare, the weight and international shipping especially.
Yeah, no, it's had its challenges. Once again, we've been with the same manufacturer for 12 years. We have a really good relationship. We now rely on their logistics to get us product because they have such good rates with the shippers that they actually will book it and bill us. One of the other things I guess I wanted to talk about in this plastic glass conversation is, the reason somebody might have to, get rid of the glass is because the inner glass actually breaks. Mm-hmm. And so we've been scratching our heads on that for a few years, and we're right in the midst of molding and designing something where we may be able to do a replaceable inner glass.
Oh, that's incredible.
And so the exterior would last you through maybe several inner glasses if that was the case.
How about ceramic? Is that something that you see in China with similar products, or is that something that you guys have explored?
I'm really hung up on the clearness, all of them right through. And that transparency and the light and all of that, our brand name is Libre, and it's all about free. And it has always been free to have a tea moment anywhere, anytime, because you can take your tea on the go. Mm-hmm. And really, it's a sense of also being free inside if you've got some kind of, meditation, maybe spiritual practice of some sort, and understanding that one can choose to have their perspective on that. And so the clarity, I guess, is so important to me that people have said, oh yeah, how come you don't do stainless? How come you don't do ceramic? And then there's that, what is that beautiful purple I Ching clay?
Oh, yeah.
How come you don't do an I Ching clay model? So we have just kind of stayed with what we know, what we love, and the glass in and of itself is just what we, kept with. The other thing too is, of course, clear glass people or clear plastic people have been very concerned about bisphenol A, and so that's the BPA. And just relative to ours, the exterior actually is this plastic is completely BPA free. So the filter, this is a removable filter on top, and so it's nice and easy to drink through with the leaves. But this plastic and this, and even I don't have the lid, but anyway, there's a lid that goes on it.
Yeah.
It's all BPA-free plastic.
Okay.
And we did that because we do a lot of health things. And so the Ayurvedic International, like the U.S. Ayurvedic Association, that conference that they would have, these people were like, it goes right through your skin. And I was kind of like, okay. And so anyway, thought about it, scratched the head, and then worked with the manufacturer. And so that's when we went from polycarbonate, which does have BPA, over to Triton, which is the Kodak patented BPA-free plastic. Great. So we're 100% BPA-free.
Awesome. Thank you for that. My final question about your product, before we move on to the exciting part of, talking about some sales promotions you have going on right now, is about any kind of intention or, industry trends of alternatives to plastic, that still would serve the same purpose that a plastic serves, but, coming from a more sustainable source.
Yeah, I think there's plant-based plastics, certainly, and we've looked into that. The cost of those is pretty kind of wicked, and they're rather cloudy, and they're not as strong. I haven't updated my information maybe for over a year, I would say, to be honest. So that's the only thing that I know of plastic-wise. In terms of substitutes for plastic, I guess you always come down to stainless, but I've not seen any trends beyond that in terms of replacing the plastic, if you want to call it. Are you aware of any?
Just the plant-based plastics is what I know about, but yeah, I mean, I just I know with all of this excitement and enthusiasm and kind of demonization around plastic, that could be the one good thing about the demonization of plastic, is that it is influencing research and innovation on it. But yeah, I mean, I guess the whole reason why I wanted to even bring this up with you is because this is a subject that I'm very passionate about, that we can't demonize things outright. We have to be smart about understanding the purpose of something and finding a clear path of how to move towards the good future, without demonizing things, because that can potentially create even more damage than good, which is what happened in the story of This Planet Home. So they lost a really great, sponsor and opportunity of providing a good option to people and inspiration to people about even water bottles, right? So your product is a great alternative to the water bottle, because it's not just for brewing tea. You could just put water in it for taking out, for your journey out. Instead of feeling like, oh, let me just get this single-use water bottle, which I did see a lot of people walking around with single-use water bottles at this festival, whenever, they could have been walking around with your product and refilling it, and then also drinking teas or infusing fruit waters with it, or, all types of products like you were saying. So, that event lost out on that opportunity of showing a good alternative, like a sustainable, long-lasting alternative to our, addiction to single-use plastics, just because they had demonized that word plastic and didn't want it anywhere there.
It's like the old throw the baby out with the bathwater thing, right? You see one part wrong, and so the whole thing is now garbage or junk. I think that's so very true, that we just have to become much more discerning, and somehow it's got to get easier. I don't know, but I've been spending a lot of time in California, Southern California, just north of LA, over the last year and a half. And I have been amazed at the single-use water bottle, like the flats of bottles of water going out from Costco blow my mind. I get kind of aghast and a little bit don't know what is the good solution for it. Mm-hmm. But that, anyway, I just see that and I just like, wow.
Yeah. And
and that's in California, right? The place that we think is supposedly all green and advanced and all those good things. I mean, when I came from Canada and Vancouver area, that's a pretty green place. We do a lot of green things. And so, my point of comparison was a little far out there, perhaps. But I had some expectations of California as being rather progressive, around all of this. And yet, just masses of flats of these single-use bottles.
Yeah, definitely. And all types of water too, and high-end expensive water. But then how do we deliver it? How do we get it to the people? Because then they say, well, let's pack it in glass, but then, the logistics on this is, not good, because then, there's more fossil fuels needed to transport, the more weight. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges. Like there's no easy solution to it. But I definitely think like demonizing plastic is not the solution. I think
and I think, it just goes overall to your point of research and really, unpacking things and taking a closer look at it and understanding that as soon as you said right, wrong, black, white, you got to be going down the wrong track. Like you just have to back up to look at it from a broader perspective and trying to, even personally be more holistic in the viewpoint and then discerning within the facts that make up the story. We've such a long way to go. I used to work in the energy industry, in the gas utility and electric utility, and this was back in 91 and 92. And we were doing demand-side management planning, and so that was the first impetus around conservation. And, Southern California was quite a leader around that kind of thing at the time. And what was interesting is they had these huge models that would go on, to forecast and put a price on the ton of greenhouse gases and particulates and all of those kind of things. And then they would, the monetization of social and environmental externalities. So did it create jobs? did it improve the environment in terms of emissions? Like I was saying, it's very, very interesting work to look cradle to grave and look at such a broad view of things and start to really assess what's, the real story. Because I think the other area that really lacks in all of this is the cradle to grave issue, because we're very, what we're looking at, that's what counts as human beings.
Yeah. We have a viewer that regularly watches on YouTube from Denmark, and he's been giving a lot of feedback here, and I just kind of wanted to address something that he said about recycling. One way of responding to the epidemic of single-use plastic is recycling, which is true. Which in North America we do have some recycling incentives, not here in Las Vegas, actually. Recycling is a joke. A lot of places in North America, it's just an absolute joke. We do have recycling containers, but it all ends up getting dumped into the same place anyway. And then Hawaii, where I used to live, they had recycling, but it all got sent to China, to get dumped into the oceans or whatever they were going to do with it. So, recycling does have a lot of room for growth. But he was saying in Denmark, they earn $3 a bottle for returning the bottle to the store. That's incredible. So, there's an actual, very serious incentive with recycling there. I don't know how sustainable or subsidized that is, because the operation of recycling, doesn't have an enormous ROI for the industry. But yeah, it'd be interesting. But they pay $3 a bottle when they buy it. So interesting. And I think that's an interesting thing too, is to, have the consumer pay, have the market pay the honest price for the cost of that product, and not just the cost of making it. Because we can go to China and get plastic made cheap, but the true environmental, social, economic cost, holistic cost, as you said, of that bottle. So
no, it is very, very interesting, because we don't really look at things like that and price things like that, because I think we as humans, understand what we're looking at, and that's what we kind of take into account. On an interesting note, in Denmark, there's a famous tea house there that I think was from the early 1800s, but we have met with a man in Denmark, and it's called Perches, and it's in Copenhagen, Perches Tea House, and they put their brand on Libre tea glasses, and so there were Libre tea glasses over there.
Oh, cool. So Oliver, go to Perches and get yourself one of these glasses for you to drink your tea out of. Yeah. I love this, because you get this kind of very global interactivity with people all over the world. It's really special. He always has a lot.
I love that about your tea festival.
Oh, the tea festival was incredible. Yeah, all in all, we had even with the playbacks now, we've had over 10,000 people that, were a part of it, watched it, or, enjoyed it. So that was, he says that he has $150 worth of tea coming from Perches tomorrow. Happy face. So,
too funny. As they say, this is where it gets to be a small world.
So that was such an incredible experience, and actually we're going to do a rebroadcast of the virtual tea festival to a whole new community next week. The broadcast that we did before was for a lot of the common people that you and I know through the tea festivals and just through the tea business circles that we're a part of. That was the bulk of the audience that we had to this last festival. But the one that we're going to do next week is for the Reddit community, which is a very, kind of specific niche community. So that should be good fun. The format's going to be a little bit different. Of course, I'm targeting to have an even bigger audience. This won't be a whole lot of tea business people or, self-identified tea people, but, more tea curious people, maybe people that identify as being tea drinkers and, enjoying to read content and watch content about tea online, but, aren't part of like the tea circles that you and I are part of. But looking forward to that. That was a really incredible experience. The last one we had almost 1.2 thousand, 1,200 comments. So that's just like people commenting back and forth. And, like a lot of live videos, you'll get comments of people saying, hi, hi from so-and-so. But actually, most of the comments that we had were like actual conversations between people and, a lot of connections being formed, which, for me just gave me all the warm fuzzies. And thank you to you for donating for, the drawing that we did with all of the email signups that came. Our new friend Cecilia in Mexico, which I have come to learn that if I have this right, if Priscilla's watching, she'll correct me. Priscilla's our friend in Ecuador who started learning about tea in Mexico. She was living in Mexico, and she had told me there's a very vibrant tea community in Mexico. Like that's like the next country to be looking out for kind of a big boom in loose leaf tea and tea lifestyle and tea culture. She had mentioned that Cecilia was the one that opened the first tea school in Mexico, and is kind of the matriarch of that community there. So
beautiful. I'll have to reach out to her directly and just say hi too. I know that they just got shipped at the beginning of this week once we got that sorted. And so, she should have them, but I should reach out to her directly. Yeah. There was another gentleman, Bob Krul. Do you know him? He had the wall cup. Anyway, he was down in Mexico looking for customers, and he found that it was a very vibrant herbal tea community.
Yes.
Because they're European and rely on herbal remedies. Mm-hmm. So very used to the loose leaf kind of idea.
Yeah. They're used to infusing things. It's a big part of their their medicine and just kind of family remedies on things. So the concept of brewing tea is not new for them. So I think your product would do really well there. I'm glad that someone from Mexico was able to enjoy that. Lucky her to get 6. So that was a nice offer that you made. 6 glasses is more than enough than what one person needs. So definitely a nice tea gift to share with your tea friends.
No, people do like to have them as gifts, so that works out really well. And as I was mentioning before, with glass being non-porous, they are good for other uses. So like fruit waters, like you were talking about, hot lemon water has become a very popular drink in this time of trying to keep ourselves incredibly well. Yeah. And even the whole hydration thing, how many systems in our body are well kept by being hydrated. Mm-hmm. So it behooves us to drink enough water. And a lot of people say water is boring. So you add some fruits to it. Yeah. And, you can get creative. Strawberry basil is one of my favorites. Mm. And then you can also use it even as a shaker, because it's got this little removable filter thing on top. Yeah. Once you put the lid on it, you can actually shake it up and down like that. And so with the different uses of it, people can, just have it for lots of different drinks that they have, and they don't need to keep that whole collection of water bottles on the go, because it won't retain, I don't know, the stories I've heard is the idea of protein powders on a plastic shaker bottle, and the idea that over time that just gets to be a scent to high heaven. Yeah. And scent is probably not a good word, it has to be more rancid than that, but this is the idea that people can use them for so many things, as well as, of course, the tea, which is what we were designed to begin with.
Yeah, definitely. Before we tune off, and speaking of gifts, I did want to give you the opportunity to talk about the things that you're doing for Mother's Day. Gearing up for a big gifting holiday coming up. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the links up. Like while I'm doing this, you can go ahead and talk about what you're doing, and I'll put the links up so people can see the links and the code that you're going to mention. But yeah, please shoot, go ahead.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we have really enjoyed about, promoting these tea moments, if there's anybody in the world that I think needs a little settling and a little peace, is actually mom. And so we've always, really reached out and promoted on Mother's Day as a great Mother's Day gift, because moms, maybe they're doing chauffeuring, they're cooking, they're taking the dog for a walk, just doing everything. So it's the idea of being able to have this little moment of taking your tea and having a little sip and a moment of peace. So we really enjoy the idea that moms would get to have lovely little peaceful tea moments, because life as a mom can be chaotic. So we have a nice special. We have 25% off, and if you decide to order a couple of gifts, I think you may have to get to 3 because of the 25% off, but at $60, there's free shipping as well. So this one in particular is our Lively Leaves guy. It's a really nice bright green. We have another bright teal. We have a beautiful pink one that has a fuchsia ballet pink, and it's kind of a filigree kind of design, and some plainer ones, black, white, silver. But I just wanted to say that we've got a lot of selection in terms of whether or not, your mom likes whatever different kind of colors or maybe a more classic style. And for the 25% off, you just need to use a coupon, Stay Home 25%. And Stay Home is in capital letters, and then just 25 and the percent sign after that. So that will get you 25% off right up until Mother's Day. And if there are any wholesale people watching, there's, of course, that. I think everybody's heart's going out to everybody at this point in terms of, how do you keep this all going on? Yeah. And so for the wholesale guys, what we did is we reached out and we said, we understand that you have had to shut your doors. But many of you probably have online operations. And if you didn't 3 weeks ago, you're certainly thinking about it now. Yeah. And some people are doing the even order and pickup and personal tea shopping. I've heard of that from some of my retailers. But just to let people in the wholesale end of things know, we also have 25% off. We've never had more than 20% off, and normally a sale would be 10 or 15. So the 25% off is significant. And if you just go to our website, Libre Life, so LIBRELIFE.com, you can, of course, check in as a retail shopper. Or if you look in the top right, there's a little wholesale section. And we'll start up an account for you if you just give us a bit of information. And you can get the glasses at 25% off.
Is there like a certain minimum order for wholesale?
Just a 6-pack.
Okay.
So it's less, it's very reasonable. Oh, and wholesale, we also have mixed sixes that we call them. So for instance, one mixed 6, we call it the mixed life. And so it's 2 pink, 2 bright green, 2 teal. Mm-hmm. And then we have the mixed essentials, which is 2 pearl, 2 black, 2 silver. So depending on the clientele of your store, you can actually even get a little selection, or, like 6 different models, even if you just order 12, or you could just order even a 6-pack. Mm-hmm. If you do decide to order a case of 24, which is that sort of a master case, the 6s are inner cases. Yeah. And so, there's order, I think, $300, and they would get free shipping. So
okay, great. Awesome. Yeah. Something, I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but I wanted to ask you, and this is kind of in spirit of what we were talking about earlier about kind of like the fast speed of getting websites up, getting businesses up, and getting going and being agile. Is like drop shipping something that you offer to wholesale customers? No? No. Okay.
We're just not set up for drop shipping, and I've looked into it a couple times, and I mean, you always have to build volume to make things worthwhile. And so we just haven't got the model with our warehouse and shipping right now that really works.
I see.
We would actually love to be able to have teas on our website, and do drop shipping. One of the things that I reached out to our wholesalers to not only say we have a great sale, could support you in your online sales, and hopefully that's going somewhere for you, but also if you have specials for your tea or you'd like to cooperatively do a giveaway with us, because we have over 20,000 social media following. And so we've had a couple of people step up for that. And I think next week we are going to be doing a Mother's Day giveaway with the Banff Tea Company. And they've had our glasses since almost day one. So it's been really neat because these are ideas that I've had in the past where I wanted to kind of do like a more community type effort, but I never kind of got it going. So this has been a real thing to be able to reach out to people and kind of scratch my head about how could we offer value with what we have to be able to support the people that have been such good customers for us over time. And that's what we came up with.
Great. Awesome. So yeah, on the streaming video now, I do have your website, and the website link has been in the title and the description of this video. So yeah, hopefully people are finding you that way and using this incredible code. Do you have any like ideas on order deadlines of like when someone would be assured that their gift would reach by Mother's Day? Or
I think what you really want to do is because Mother's Day is kind of a little bit early. May 10th is the Sunday, so May 1st is a Friday. And so when you order on the Friday, we ship on the Monday. And so for the most part, it's going to get to you there by the following Friday. But I would say that for regular post, that you'd really have to make sure that you put it in Friday. And I would even go Friday morning, because I think we cut off at noon hour or 11 a.m. and then the rest of it goes out, in the afternoon. But I would say Friday. Let's just say Friday for ease.
Yeah, get your orders in by Friday morning. I'm telling everybody on my tea orders, because I just do all the fulfillment. Everything is just here, myself, so I can, get up and get something out. I'm telling everybody to get their orders in by Monday to ensure that they get it by Friday so that they can have it to give on a gift on Sunday.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing, too, is, we're going to have the discount and the offer right through until Mother's Day. And many people these days, you don't always get organized as soon as you'd like to get these things done. And so some people will actually download the photo off the website and cut it out and put it into the card to say, one of these is coming for you soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is going to be my pitch about what's going on right now in the world. Mom deserves better. Okay, guys? So get your order in early. Please do not give your mom a card with a picture of something in it. Like, if you have to, but we're all sitting at home doing nothing right now. So Mom deserves better. Let this be a special Mother's Day.
In these circumstances, I think it's moms that actually have the roughest role, because often naturally they default to being a lot of the meal preparation, a lot of the organization of activities and people keeping straight. And did you have a shower today? And, haven't you worn that shirt for the last 5 days kind of thing? All of those that moms do. And I think, I don't have any kids around at home right at the moment. And I just wow. And trying to school the kids as well, and learning the platforms. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Mom deserves better, especially this year.
Yeah, especially this year. And also, even if we're not talking about getting gifts just for your mom. Any moms in your life, they definitely deserve it, because, everybody is working on overtime right now. With the schools being out, it must be a nightmare. I think that's been a common theme I've been seeing my friends post about is how stressful it is right now to have your kids constantly around, and the challenges of working from home, taking care of your kids, still keeping the house up. So I really hope that this does end up being a special Mother's Day. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, so that's what's, it's kind of interesting. I haven't seen too many marketers jump on that.
Yeah.
It's
I've
good.
just started to see a little bit more Mother's Day action coming, but usually it would be a little sooner. And I think we're just kind of lifting our heads up from where we actually are to remember that there's still the natural cycles of the year. Just as spring comes, so does Mother's Day.
Yeah, so we're here to remind you guys all about your mom, and really great promotional code here to get a good product, as well as on our website too. And for Las Vegas based friends, we are offering free delivery for orders over 40. So yeah, you can, or come pick it up at our shop too. You can arrange a pickup. So. Yeah, I wish I had some Libre glasses here. I got to do that now that I'm doing more of this retail. I should offer that up. If you were able to do drop shipping, I could just do that. Right after this call, I could set it up. But,
I know. I understand completely, but I think the least we're going to do is you're going to send me your address so that at least I can get you back to having one for yourself. Okay?
I know. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Thank you. I was so sad that night. My friend was very sad and kind of delayed in telling me about it because he knew I'd be heartbroken because I was using it all the time, and I guess like the final thing I wanted to say, and some people might have thought that it's a little bit different for me to be having this conversation with you and having you on here, considering that we usually, exclusively support farmers and exclusively, do gung fu cha. But I think that there is a place for convenience, and it's not a tea bag. I think the product that you offer to the market is sustainable and is mindful of those things. And we definitely had talked about that. I made sure that we talked about that. But It is it's a really beautiful and great way of brewing tea that does bring convenience and on the go, that is necessary in our life. And, we can't always do gung fu. I think what you offer is a really great gift for the tea community, and I'm glad that you came on.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show too, Elise. I really and to be able to go through some of those other issues where I don't often get the opportunity to explain some of the things that we do and the kind of relationship that we have with the factory, and so it's really been a lovely opportunity. Thank you so much, and it's been a lot of fun. That's probably the nicest joy of it all, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share, the Mother's Day segment with people. I wish you all the best with your good Mother's Day sales on your teas, because I can only imagine what lovely teas you have. I should be heading back to California once this is all over, and so maybe I can get hooked up with a little bit of tea at that point. I won't make you try and send it to Canada.
Oh, no, I'll definitely send you some tea. You deserve it.
Thank you.
All right, Wendy. Well, I am going to sign off now, but thank you so much for joining today. This has been a lot of fun, and this will be playing back, so you'll be welcome to share this through all the different channels, and even download it yourself if you want to share it, or take clips from it to share on your social media. You're more than welcome to do that.
Thanks so very much. And I didn't get on top of it to sort of publicize it out at our social media end of things. So I'm sorry about that, but I look forward to, posting this and being able to share some of our interesting information that you managed to bring out of me. So I appreciate it.
This will be, long lasting, so you'll be able to share this with your community, and I'm sure they'll be happy to hear this side of your story that doesn't usually get told. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, and hope you have a beautiful rest of your week, and I'll see you soon, Wendy. Much love. Bye, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much, Ali. Much appreciated. Bye now.